Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So we are in a room of a lot of wonderful, amazing women. We all come from different backgrounds, different upbringings, but we all go through this crazy, crazy thing called life. We experience pain, challenges, and obstacles that really affect our confidence and can stop us from being the confident, successful person that we want to be. So one of those things that can affect you in a really big way is bullying. Bullying can show up in all areas of your life, from childhood, through school, in the workplace, and in relationships. A lot of people will experience one of those throughout their lifetime. I'm very thankful to say I have experienced all three. So it's no surprise that 1 in 4 kids is bullied going through school. And people will tell them it's a normal part of childhood, it's a normal thing they have to go through, and that should never be normalized. It can have catastrophic effects on their mental and physical well-being going through life. A lot of them will experience trouble sleeping, trouble eating, poor grades, increased levels of anxiety and depression. I know when I was growing up, people told you to just ignore the bullies and they'd stop, but that is not actually the case. I was bullied incessantly by 2 girls going all through high school. I really wanted to be their friends, so they were my friends. And then the very next day, they'd talk about me behind my back, say horrible, mean things, lie about me, spread rumors. It was awful. I would go to school, after school, I would go to the grocery store, and I would buy a box of Pop-Tarts, and I would eat the entire thing to make myself feel better. But that doesn't actually work, as we all know. We were in band and drumline together, and I remember one specific incident. We went to a competition, and a lot of the parents were chaperones. And all day long, these 2 girls had been bothering me, making fun of me, and doing horrible, mean things. At the end of the competition, my mom, who was one of the chaperones, went up to one of the girls and asked her if she could stop, like a chaperone would if you're on a field trip, right? She was very polite to the girl, and I'm sitting there in a car, and I watched this girl start screaming in my mother's face and calling her the B word. So I'm sitting in my car, and I'm like, this is my mom, They can say whatever they want to me, but not my mom. So I had all these feelings inside me, nauseous and scared, but I jumped out of the car, and I ran over there, and I told her, you cannot talk to my mom that way. And she did back down, but it changed nothing for me for the rest of the time I was in school. For the next 2 years, the same thing happened all the time. And then the last day of high school, we were at a senior breakfast, and one of the girls came up to me, and she apologized to me for everything she had done the past 7 years through school. Wow. It turns out that the other girl had bullied her. So I accepted her apology, but it changed nothing, and I took my low self-esteem, put it in my pocket, and walked right into adulthood. What a lot of people don't tell you is that bullying can continue when you get to the workplace. 30% of people report being bullied at work. They report being publicly humiliated, unfair deadlines, being disciplined in front of their peers, all kinds of things. 66% of bullies in the workplace are the supervisors. That's a lot, 66%. We don't think about that. I've worked for the federal government for 20 years now, and I can tell you that I have been bullied by several supervisors. I remember my very first one. I had just been there for a year. He hated me from the get-go, and I have no idea why. And he would always tell me that I needed to be like the other employees around because they could remember details better. And then one of the women had gone on vacation, and she had won an award. And I had to go in front of a crowded conference room and accept her award for her so I could learn what it was like to win an award. Oh. It was terrible. Luckily, he transferred on, and I didn't have to deal with him, and things improved for several years. Then COVID came, and all of us in our job who have documented medical conditions had to stay home. So I was at home for a year, and during that time period, I got a new supervisor. And because I was home, we only got to talk on the phone and maybe saw each other twice in person. But he didn't have any background knowledge of the things I've been doing, because over that span of time, I'd been traveling around the world, giving presentations to tons of different people. I'd been training and mentoring, teaching leadership classes, so I'd done a lot, right? And also during this time period, it was where we were submitting promotion packages. And where I work, you have to put together a group of documents, send it forward to a panel, and they decide if you're promotable or not, right? So I did this, and I didn't get the promotion, which was fine, It's cool, it happens. But when I went back to the office, he wanted to sit down and go over the results with me. And I was like, okay. Remember, we've only seen each other twice in person, and he has no idea of my work history. So we sit down in the office, and he tells me, you are completely incapable of performing at the next level. I will not and won't ever advocate for you, and you can't do the job. So, needless to say, I was very hurt, and I almost cried right there in the office, but I didn't, and I really just was done. I said, I will never promote under him, never try to at all. So, a few weeks later, a different supervisor had sent out an email saying that there was all these great opportunities coming up for people if they wanted to promote, and he was going to try to make sure that we all got one. And knowing what had happened and that I didn't want to try to get promoted, I was like, well, I appreciate that, but considering what happened, I'm not going to try to get promoted this year, so go ahead and give those to the other people, thinking in my mind I'm helping my friends and coworkers who really want that, right? He's like, yeah, no problem, Jenny, I understand. It's perfectly fine. Okay, a few weeks later, I received a poor performance evaluation to teach me a lesson relating back to that very same email that I never knew was a problem. And I was just done. I hated the whole thing. I would sit in the car every morning for 20 minutes trying to talk myself out of the car to go into work. I would cry in the bathroom. I had massive headaches. I had stomach pains, and my stress was through the roof. I just could not do it anymore. And then, not long after that, I made a mistake in a presentation that I was putting together. A small mistake, nothing major. And my supervisor at that time came over and not once, not twice, but 3 times pointed out my mistake in front of everybody and made fun of it. And I was just like, this can't happen anymore. I was in my late 30s by then. I was like, I am done. So I went to him and I told him, you cannot talk about me like that to people because it's ruining my reputation. I didn't ask him because asking gives them the power. I told him, you cannot talk to me like that. And he actually apologized to me. He never did it again, and we're actually friends to this day. So it was a good turnaround, right? So I learned from that I have to actually say something, even if you have the nauseous stomach feeling and you just can't do it. So let me take you back. Before I joined the Department of Defense, I was serving in the United States Navy. This was about 2 years out of college. And when I joined the Navy, started dating a lot, thinking it would boost my self-esteem, which it never does, right? So I'm doing this, and if nothing's happening, I'm not liking myself, and then I end up meeting my now ex-husband. He was amazing. He was so handsome, all the muscles, all dark and dreamy. He was romantic. He would sing me songs, give me flowers. It was everything you could ask for, right? It was the best. I was happy all the time. And then I got orders, and I had to transfer to California, and he was going to be here in D.C. And we're like, it's fine. We can make it work until one of us gets discharged or we can be stationed together. And I was like, okay. So I move. A few months later, we eloped. So romantic, right? I was all up here. I was like, yes, this is the best. And we would fly back and forth once a month to visit each other. It was totally not allowed. You were not supposed to do that. But we did it anyway. So we're doing this. And then over time, things start to change. And I was like, it was little things at first. But then he'd ask me questions about my dating past. And if he didn't like what he heard, he'd withhold affection. And then he would start telling me that my tattoos were ugly, that I was an ugly person. And he would make me hide them. So if we were taking pictures for his family, I had to hide them so that they couldn't see anything. And if we went to visit them, I had to wear clothes that hid them so that they wouldn't see them. Now, mind you, when we got married, I had tattoos, so it was not a surprise they were there. But he wanted them hidden. And he would do this over and over and over again. And then I got pregnant with our daughter. And he was so angry, so angry. And I found out later that he was telling people that the baby probably wasn't even his. He was going around saying this, and then he had an affair. And so I confronted him. And it was a horrible day because my brother was in the hospital at the same time. So I had all this stuff going on. But I confronted him, and he told me that he didn't love me, he had never loved me, and he was pretending the whole time. So I was like, I cannot do this. What is wrong with me? I'm letting all these things happen, right? And so I decided I was going to leave him. And he wanted me to get rid of my daughter. And I was 4 months pregnant because he didn't want a piece of him running around somewhere. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So I left him. It's been 25 years since I left him. And I am so much happier now. I have this beautiful family right here. This is that beautiful daughter that he didn't want. And she is just amazing. And I say that I'm thankful for all the things I went through, not because I changed and became successful because of these people, because I've done so much. I've had a successful career for 20 years. I've gone to college. I served our country. I have a beautiful family. I have a coach, and I'm here with all of you people. And I didn't do any of that for them. I did it because I realized I mattered to me, which is the most important thing. And it was not easy. I had to get up and tell myself every single day, you are good enough, you are smart enough, and you can do this. Because I did not think I could do any of that because all these people were always telling me that. So I made this, and I use this all the time for things that happen that are bad, things that have gone through, not just bullying, but like grief and fear and anything that you can think of that's really affected your life. And so I just called it courage. Could this still be affecting me? Could it be making me stop doing what I want to do, right? Is it stopping me from reaching those goals or working for those things I want? Open my mind to the fact that it could be an excuse. Sometimes we have things happen in our past and we blame it and rely on that as the reason we don't get things done, when it's really not. Understand how it's impacting me today. Is it making me question myself still? Is it making me question things around me or people around me? Redefine what success looks like to me. It's not about changing what you want. It's about changing your belief in what you can do, even though these things happened. Accept that it happened, and find 3 things I can do today to start moving past it. We all experience horrible, bad things in life, and that's a moment in your history. It's not your entire story. So this is so important. Get excited about your future. Set goals and quit letting it define you. If I was going to sit in all this bullying and all this drama for my entire life, I would never be here today. I would be somewhere else hiding in a hole, right? And then enlist a good peer group that lifts you up, a peer group of like-minded people. We all need that support, that emotional thing, the connection between all of us as humans, and it's so very important. So if any of this resonates with you, if you've experienced anything bad, just remember that you are good enough, you are smart enough, and you can do this. Thank you.